Welcome back, everyone. This is going to be my new Marvel Henry Cavill Captain Britain video. You may have seen the news recently. He's talking all about Captain Britain. I'll explain what's going on because there's a big connection to what was going on in the Eternals movie with the Black Knight in that mythology. So if you're brand new to the channel, be sure to subscribe to get all the videos. Marvel's Disney Plus Day is happening now. I'm going to be doing videos for all the big trailers they release, so make sure you enable alerts for my channel so you don't miss any of those. And I will be doing giveaways for Disney Plus memberships in those videos. But recently, you may have seen the news, Henry Cavill talking about doing Captain Britain in the Marvel movies. It was part of this larger interview where he was talking about all of his upcoming projects and some of the things that he's been pushing for. He also talked about doing new Superman movies and commented on all the different versions of Superman that DC has coming up. So I'll address that after I talk about the Marvel Captain Britain stuff, just because that's a little more relevant to what's happening this week with all the Eternal stuff coming out. The interviewer was asking him about which Marvel characters he would want to play, because everyone's been wondering for the past couple of years, since it seems like Superman isn't such a huge priority for DC, if he would pack up and head to Marvel and play a Marvel character. You may remember all those silly rumors after Avengers Endgame about him becoming the new version of Marvel's Wolverine. But here's what he said about becoming Captain Britain during Marvel Phase 4 and Marvel Phase 5. He said being Captain Britain would be loads of fun to do, cool modernized version of that, like the way they modernized Captain America, Steve Rogers' Captain America. There's something fun about that, and I do love being British. So this was like a pretty big interview, so it was him sort of letting Marvel know, hey, I'm interested, be sure to call me if they haven't already called him about playing a character. When it comes to stuff like that, Marvel has meetings with everybody all the time. They've met with Keanu Reeves about playing characters during every major phase of movies, way back in Marvel Phase 1, Phase 2, Phase 3. Kevin Feige said it's actually pretty normal for them to do stuff like that. But what he's talking about is doing Captain Britain set in present day. Think like Henry Cavill in Man from U.N.C.L.E. or during the Mission Impossible movies, that sort of modern day type of hyperkinetic action, but with him running around swinging a sword. And speaking of fantasy-based characters, most of you might remember Henry Cavill before he became Superman in the Man of Steel movie in the DC movies. He played a British lord during the Tudors series, swinging a sword around. And most of you have been watching him as Geralt the Witcher on The Witcher Netflix, so everyone toss a coin to your Captain Britain. When he says modernized, the main version of Captain Britain, Brian Braddock, was created in the 1970s, so a lot of the adventures that he had traded on major pop culture events of that era. That's also why they had that really cool Avengers Endgame Easter egg for Captain Britain during the time heist mission to the 1970s. When Iron Man and Captain America went back to Camp Lehigh in the 1970s to steal the Tesseract, Captain America is searching the offices for Pym particles to steal so they can return back to present day. He stumbles into an office only to see that it's Peggy Carter's S.H.I.E.L.D. office on the base, and they play for this really dramatic moment. He gets really sad thinking about how much he loves her. And as he watches her walk in from the other side of the glass, trying to stay hidden, she mentions Agent Braddock, and that's meant to be a reference for Brian Braddock, who became Captain Britain in the 1970s. And even though this is a very Captain America kind of scene, Captain Britain is not just a British version of Captain America. He doesn't have the whole man out of time thing going for him, being from the 1940s, frozen in ice for over 70 years. When he was created, he was meant to be a character from present day, who was just part of this ancient line, kind of like the Black Knight. But speaking of Peggy Carter, talking about that Avengers Endgame scene, during the What If episodes that I did videos for recently, we kind of got a multiverse version of Peggy Carter, Captain Britain, with the costume. But the way they played the character, she was more like Captain America, just wearing a Captain Britain-looking costume, than being a straight-up Captain Britain, just because his backstory is so different from Captain America's backstory. In my opinion, it was a big missed opportunity for some cool Easter eggs. The big connection to the Eternals movie, so Captain Britain's backstory is a little bit like Dane Whitman's Black Knight backstory. Kit Harington's going to be playing in the MCU now. It trades very heavily on the King Arthur mythology, British legends, magic, and characters like Merlin, traveling through time and the multiverse. So spoiler warning for the Eternals movie if you haven't seen it yet, because we have to talk about some big Black Knight plot points. During the Eternals movie, when the Eternals go back to the Domo, their spaceship in present day, they find that Makkari has been living there for centuries while they've all been living apart, and over that time, she's collected, hint, stolen, many priceless artifacts from across history and all the adventures that they had when they were still together. While they're having fun picking through her piles of treasure, Thena picks up a sword, swinging it around, remembering the period of history where they all lived in Camelot together with King Arthur, Lancelot, Merlin, and the Knights of the Round Table, and Sprite asks her if the sword she's playing with is the Ebony Blade, which is a huge Black Knight Easter egg. because the original Black Knight comes from Camelot and the Ebony Blade was forged by Merlin, but then Athena says, no, it's Excalibur, like the legendary Excalibur given to Arthur by the Lady in the Lake, meaning that all those legends were real historical events in the MCU, like King Arthur was a real person. In Big Doctor Strange connection, Merlin was the sorcerer supreme of his era. But bringing it back around to all the magical swords, while the Black Knight wields the Ebony Blade, Captain Britain wields Excalibur for a brief period, and we just saw Excalibur in the Eternals movie, as well as the Ebony Blade in that post-credit scene. Most of the time, though, Captain Britain's main weapons are the Amulet of Right and the Sword of Might. Just like Kit Harington's Dane Whitman Black Knight, Brian Braddock's Captain Britain comes from a powerful British family that goes back to the Middle Ages. His father was the previous version of Captain Britain. And when a new Captain Britain is selected, Merlin and his daughter Roma come to the new candidate and offer them a choice between the amulet and the sword. It's sort of a test of character, like the Holy Grail test in Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. Choosing the amulet represents the path of reason, while the sword represents the path of violence. Generally, Merlin tends to favor the people who choose the amulet, like you have chosen wisely, but you can still choose the path of violence, like pick the sword and become the next Captain Britain. The amulet and the sword are super powerful, but unlike the Black Knight, he doesn't only get his powers from the blade or the amulet. Most of his abilities are powered by interdimensional energies which are concentrated around the British Isles and Otherworld. Otherworld is this pocket dimension next to Earth where Avalon exists from the King Arthur mythology. It's this realm of really powerful magic where Merlin lives when he's not running around the main Marvel Universe. Captain Britain's costume also kind of serves as a tether to this magical field that he draws his energy from. But basically, his powers are similar to Captain America's powers in that he has enhanced strength, stamina, durability, speed, but the amulet he wears also gives him a limited ability to fly. At this point in Marvel Phase 4, we're trading very heavily on multiverse tropes, like we had the Loki series with the Kang Multiverse War, we have Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness, we have Spider-Man No Way Home, which is a very Spider-Verse multiverse type of story. The Captain Britain stories, especially the more recent ones, trade heavily on multiverse tropes. You may remember a couple years ago, after Avengers Endgame came out, there were a couple rumors that we would see a version of Captain Britain in the upcoming movies. I think the idea right now is that they're doing Kit Harington's Black Knight character first as sort of a lead-in to the more mystical, fantasy-based sword and sorcery Marvel stories. And once they figure that out, like how to make it Game of Thrones, but set in present day with him crossing over with all the Avengers and Avengers 5 without it feeling silly or weird, and then they'll start doing more of those type of fantasy-based characters, because there is a lot of that inside the Marvel canon. I'm also really hoping for a Kit Harington Black Knight Disney Plus series, since they can use the extra episodes and room to just flesh out all that King Arthur mythology and backstory that they teased during the Eternals movie, and introduce the MCU Merlin and explain the history of the Ebony Blade and how the Eternals were connected to all that. The whole idea being that Merlin, being Sorcerer Supreme of his era, would be knowledgeable enough to understand that the Eternals were not human. So even if King Arthur didn't know what was going on with them, Merlin probably knew what was up with the Eternals. Just in terms of when we would see a version of Captain Britain in the MCU, it probably wouldn't be till after they fully develop Kit Harington's Black Knight character, and it sounds like we're going to see him wielding the Ebony Blade, being full-blown Black Knight during Marvel's Blade movie at some point, the way they teased him crossing over in that post-credit scene. So it'll be at least a couple years before they figure all that stuff out, leaving Henry Cavill plenty of time to return as Superman in new DC movies for all of you hoping that he comes back as Superman, which he said he's very much trying to do in this interview. He has been trying to get a new Man of Steel movie going for a couple years now, but because DC has so many Superman-related projects with different versions of the character coming up, it sounds like at best we'll probably just see Henry Cavill Superman crossovers and cameo scenes for the next couple of years. But I'll do separate videos for all those DC movies and Superman projects when they release trailers. Speaking of trailers, it is like Trailer City this weekend. Marvel's Disney Plus Day is here. They will start releasing all those trailers really soon. Of course, I'll do videos for everything. Make sure you have alerts enabled for my channel so you don't miss any of those. The Obi-Wan Kenobi trailer just leaked this morning, so I'll do a full video for that when they release it officially. Here's a quick teaser from it of Obi-Wan versus Darth Vader in their rematch fight. Hayden Christensen came back as Darth Vader for this. He's also coming back during the Ahsoka series as well. Everyone, click here for all my Disney Plus trailer videos. I'll update the link as soon as I start posting them, and click here for my full Eternals post-credit scene video. Thank you so much for watching. Everyone stay safe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.